Hey guys, how's it going? Testing as always, additional equipment and settings and all of that good stuff. So appreciate you bearing with me. Happy Friday. So welcome to the stream today. I'm Spencer, industrial designer. Love drawing, all that good stuff. And we are. Oh, we're not doing a bird today. I just copied the thumbnail, so I'll update that after the stream. So today I'm actually relying on you guys a bit to let me know what you want to see and what makes sense for the stream. So be sure to let me know. And if you have suggestions, all that good stuff, I am totally open. But once again, Spencer here, sketch day, and we are just going to be drawing today. So but just to kick things off, I wanted to show you guys this really cool book. Also, check in. Let me know where you're connecting from. Hey, Andre, good to see you. Success, happy weekend. Hello, hello. I just wanted to show you guys this book here. This is the Carlu design book. Now, if you've never seen this, it's hard to find. At least I don't know how to find it today. But Carlu is a designer. He worked at Astro Studios back in the day as well, and just had a really unique style of sketching. And so I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of this book here. Again, I don't know if you can find it or where you would find it at this point, but let me move the chat to the side here so I can see you guys. Let's see. All right, perfect. So hopefully this stream cooperates today. It should. I figured out, I think, what was going wrong last week. And I think last week what was happening is the camera was set to 4K. And so it was kind of overheating as we were streaming. So this will be about 45 minutes to an hour today, just to let you guys know. But definitely hit me up with suggestions. In the meantime, here's this book. And it's just chock full of these really awesome analog old school renderings, and I just love Carlu's work. Again, this is the Carlu design book, Chinese designer actually, and used to work for Astro Studios. But again, you can definitely see, I think personally, how much influence his work has had on me and others. It's definitely a common style that you see, something that shouldn't be too surprising if you are out there on the internet looking at sketches. So but just really awesome stuff, and the texture, color, line work, all that stuff, super awesome. So if you do figure out a way to get it, highly recommended if you can get your hands on one of these. And it's, like I said, it's an old book, but it's pretty awesome. Oh, hey Daniel, good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, it's been a minute. I've been hiding a little bit, I guess, but I am back. For those who don't know, I used to work full time at a smart home company here in Utah, where I'm based, and I left that about 6 months ago, and I've just been doing my own thing. So thank you for supporting, and thank you for being here. I know some of you have asked in the past, what are some ways to support? Best way, pick something up at my store. That's probably the best way. That or like a PayPal, Venmo type thing. But that's entirely up to you guys. But just being here is enough as well. So yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Carlu's design book. Again, if you can find it, definitely pick it up. If I do find a good link, I will post it in the video description at the end of the stream. So like I said, to kick things off, what do you guys want to see today? What are you in the mood for? Just to warm up, I think I'm going to do some more landscape stuff. If you were on the channel this week, you would have seen a little landscape drawing that I put together with marker. And so I've been having lots of fun with that. And I'll show you how I make my wide markers, so to speak. As I'm drawing. Some tips on problem identification as an industrial designer. Okay, I can do that. A little less drawing specific, but I could do that. So These are all my Copic inks, by the way. These are not markers. And I love Copic markers. They don't sponsor me by any means, but I do love that I can refill all my favorite colors. So I'm going to be building out my collection of inks over time because I just love it. So how I make my wide markers, back on topic here. Let me see. Do I have a C2 already open? Yes, I do. Okay. So let's say I want to create kind of like, let's just say a mountain theme or something, landscape, something like that. So what I like to do is get one of these binder clips. So just a bulldog clip, something you would find at your local office supply store, and then something like this. These are just cotton makeup pads. Okay, so well, not really makeup pads, but just cotton pads rather. So I can just take these, fold them in half like that, and if you want to use your hand, you can use your hand as well. Actually, I'm gonna lotion my hands because I'm feeling kind of ashy right now. I know you guys always call me out with my my dry hands. It's kind of dry here in Utah, so you'll have to forgive me here as I lube up. It sounds terrible, but got to take care of the skins, right? Okay, so if I just take these, fold in half like so, and then put it in the clip, you know, I can take the ink and essentially create a wide marker. This is also something you can do if you are working with like pastels and you want to, you know, dip this in some pastel and kind of brush. You can do that as well. But I'm just going to take this C2 marker. It looks like we have a suggestion for a smart speaker with a display. Yeah, I could do something like that. So, and then if you just put a little ink on this pad, just a couple squeezes, I can now essentially kind of paint in broad strokes here on this paper. So pretty handy, and you can, you know, recharge it just like that and kind of put down some strokes. I'm trying to create just some quick typography. That's what I'm trying to do with these strokes, with this marker swab thing that I created. So that's just a little trick if you want to cover a lot of area with marker and you don't have like a big wide Copic marker, for example. You can essentially make your own marker just by grabbing some of those pads, some ink, and being creative with it. So here I'm thinking kind of a winter scene. I live kind of in the mountains here in Utah, so one of the things that's really cool is you get these big kind of alpine mountain things happening. I'm actually gonna take a little bit of blue as well, and I'm trying to decide if I want to, yeah, I'll make another swab here. So let me grab, actually I'm just gonna flip this inside out because it didn't quite make it all the way through. And some of this blue here, I got super sweaty hands and it's horrible drawing on a tablet with fingerprints. So I use a matte screen protector, and I totally know what you mean. It gets pretty messy, but I use it because I like to okay, just a little blue here for the sky. I like to mimic the feel of paper as much as I can when I'm drawing. So that's essentially what I'm trying to do. So here, like I kind of mentioned, just trying to create a quick landscape scene while we warm up. This one shouldn't take too long, so hopefully you guys, I like the suggestions for doing nature things. That's been really fun, so I appreciate all the suggestions you guys are making. And if you're wondering how to make a suggestion, probably the best way right now is just through kind of hitting me up on Instagram. It's probably going to be your best bet. So if you do want to make a suggestion, feel free to reach out that way, or you can send me an email just to spencer@sketchaday.com. So what I'm trying to do right here is just kind of sketch in some trees. I actually have a really deep green. That's what I was kind of rummaging around for. So I'm going to mix some of this green with my grays here as we work on this scene. I'm thinking about entering, so I don't know how many of you like using markers or not, but there's actually a Copic marker competition that you can enter every year. And I'm thinking about doing it this year because I think you win like $5,000 and they'll fly you to Japan or something like that, something along those lines. So pretty awesome, interesting challenge. So I think it's called the 2020 Copic competition, something along those lines. But if you're interested, definitely check it out, and I can post the link in the chat or in the video description if you're interested. Once again, this is Sketch-A-Day. I'm Spencer. I love drawing. Hopefully you do. Otherwise, this will be a miserable hour for you. But I just wanted to warm up with a quick landscape scene here. Suggestion: show how you go through quick sketching to convey ideas while in front of a client or manager. Oh, okay, that's a good one. So I think I have enough suggestions. We had a smart speaker. There was a question about design and generating concepts, and there was also this question here about sketching in front of a client, which I actually do quite a bit, which is why I try to keep up on my skills. I feel like it's just really important to be able to draw stuff on the fly. Thank you, Jordan. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking. Did you get your sketch, by the way, in the mail? Let me know. Jordan was awesome and supported me by picking up one of my sketches, so I mailed it out to him. If you guys are interested in sketches created on the stream or also commission type work, happy to chat about that. So that's something I've been kind of doing a bit more lately, if you guys are interested. Okay, so just mixing grays and greens here, trying to create a little bit of an alpine environment, almost to the point where I'll add some paint, call it good, a little bit of darker marker as well, and we'll be cooking with the gas, so to speak. So I'm just gonna do some bigger trees up front here, just taking some happy little trees, you might say. So I didn't really grow up watching Bob Ross, interestingly enough, but he's such a cultural force, I think, that so many people recognize and know who he is. And it wasn't until later in life that I discovered this beautiful soul. But if you have no idea who that is, he was an illustrator. He's like the OG live educator, right? And he would always do happy little trees. Just yesterday, oh man, that's crazy. Sorry, dude. I should have sent you a tracking number with that, but I'm glad you got it. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks again. But yeah, Bob Ross, incredible human. So if you're so inclined and curious, definitely check out his work. And if you have no idea who he is, you probably have seen some of his stuff in memes or that kind of thing. So definitely check that out. So this is a bit of green mixed with some gray, just to create the effect of some trees here. I'm going to finish this off with a little bit of white to make the snow pop, and we'll call it good on this quick landscape. Let me scroll back in the chat here because I'm kind of forgetting that one topic. Let's see. So smart speaker with display, and then tips on problem identification. Oh yeah, that's right. So I will gladly do those. And here I'm just adding a little bit of gray in anticipation that I'm going to be adding some white. to the scene because I want to create some depth. Okay, and this is just a 30% gray here. 30% gray marker. It's probably a bit more I would do to this if this were a finished drawing. You know, a little bit more by way of shadow and tone, for example. But we'll just keep it short today. All right, and then just for the last step, I'm going to add some gouache here. And if you're wondering what this is, gouache is just opaque white paint. So you can usually find a tube for about $5 to $7, maybe more depending on the brand. So I'm just using some white here, and right in the middle of this valley, I'm just gonna paint with some gouache, like so, just to lighten up some of these spots in the middle. And it just kind of helps create a bit of contrast and will help things pop a little bit more. What you're seeing on screen is the gouache wet, so it should dry and not look as shiny. So don't freak out there if you're like, what's he doing? Oh my gosh. But yeah, lately I'm a designer by trade. That's what I do daily, but I've been really enjoying kind of the artistic side a bit more lately. So thanks for entertaining that by being here and being a fan. And always open to suggestions. So if you have an idea of what you want to see on the channel or on the live, you can always let me know. I'll be happy to take a look at that. So, all right, this is feeling pretty good. Probably just a little bit more concentrated in the middle here. And maybe some of these trees have some snow on them. Paint that in. I probably need to get a few more brushes as well. Just like that. Cool. So yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this much more. We'll jump to the next topic, which was identifying problems as an industrial designer. So, industrial designers, I think, let me think of the right analogy here. So there's the finished quick painting, sketch, landscape. I guess I should sign it. Always important, right? This is a very, very juicy India ink pen right here. So I'm going to set this to the side. So identifying problems as an industrial designer. I think without going into too much detail, probably the easiest way to describe that or discuss it is to say, you know, as a, let's say, design, and we could lump, you know, user experience, UI, ID, graphic, and so on into what I'm calling design here. But really it's about let's see, people. This visual may not make sense, but people plus problem. Okay, so in terms of identifying problems, you want to start with people, meaning, you know, are you interviewing real customers, asking questions? Are you making observations? You know, and you can ask questions by, you know, survey, or as I implied here, interviewing, observation. So you can spend a day in the life of the customer, or DITL, to discover latent needs, things that, you know, they may not be aware of. That's one way. But as far as finding out what those problems are, it's a lot of it's really just, it comes down to listening and being open. So always challenge your assumptions. If you go into a project and you think you know the answer before the project has started, chances are you're going to be wrong. So be willing to change your mind. And that's what I mean by being open. And then what will happen is you're then able to kind of look at, the person, by asking these questions, observing, so forth. Then the problem will become more clear and more apparent. And it may be even that it's maybe less of a problem and more of an opportunity, or in talking about those problems, you now have opportunities that come up. So how you look at that person, their environment, their habits, their needs, and so forth, and compile all that data. Definitely talk to more than one person. Then you're able to discover, what if we do it this way? What if we do it that way? If you're talking about creative problem solving, that's a whole other conversation. But in terms of discovering problems as a designer, I think whether you're UX, UI, ID, graphics, you're a brand designer, whatever, I think it's really important to talk to people. Definitely start here and be open, ask questions, and be willing to change your mind through the process. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. So the next request was some sort of smart speaker with a display. So for this one, I think I'm going to go with, I'm trying to decide if I want to go with pen or pencil. I'm going to go with pen, pencil, and marker. So smart speaker with a display. We could do, just a kind of a block profile. We could have a wedge. We could have a wedge with some sort of stand. I kind of like this. And maybe if this is the speaker, maybe half of it could be speaker. So this could be like perforation, and then you've got, some sort of display, and the stand is behind it. I don't know. We could maybe do something like that. So just real quick, since I kind of have a rough idea of what I want to do, let's do a rough sketch and then a finished sketch. And I'll show you kind of how I'm thinking through the geometry. So if something were upright, straight, you'd kind of draw it like this, right? Where the sides are 90 degrees to each other. But what happens if it's tilted? Okay. So if it's tilted, we need to kind of think, okay, I have to shift this. It's going to rotate, right? So that point's going to rotate down, something like that. And you can do the same thing here. This line is going to also rotate out. And so what ends up happening is your form kind of changes to something like this. I'm going to cheat a little bit and just show a little bit of the top, a sliver. But essentially you're going to end up with something like so. Now the moment you rotate an object in perspective, you introduce what's called an auxiliary vanishing point, or two in this case. And what that means is, normally, for example, if this is my left vanishing point and my right vanishing point, here all my lines in perspective would converge to these 2 points, right? So the minute something's angled, you now have another vanishing point that's going to be above either your left or your right vanishing point to now define this face. Okay, so here's this face rotated out, and that auxiliary vanishing point actually happens to be right over the left or right vanishing point. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. Here's this plane rotated out, and now you have the edges of the plane converging up toward that auxiliary vanishing point. So in that sense, my speaker here, actually this needs to be a little bit taller. So I'm going to bring this out like so. And in this case, I would have an auxiliary vanishing point both above and below, meaning these lines converging at some point, and these lines down here converging at some point, as well as my lines left to right. Okay, and then I wanted to divide the front of this in half and make, this side my perforation, and then I have a foot in the back. So for the foot, I'm imagining maybe there's some rectangle here, offset, and I can project this back like so. And maybe part of that foot is visible along with some sort of cable. Let's just say, just for composition purposes here. All right. So as always, when in doubt, rough it out. That's what we just did. Now I can take my sketch, put it under some marker paper, and begin to add details that I wanted to add. So for example, maybe this speaker has a rounded front to it, like so. I can sketch that in. Just keeping it loose. All freehand, of course. Which will be a good segue into drawing stuff as I would for a client in real life. All right, and dividing the front here, like so. You have the foot. Haven't picked any materials yet, and that's okay. Totally fine. And we have some sort of cable or connection that I wanted to sketch in here. Like so. I'm just using a Papermate flare and some cheap marker paper. Not even using the good marker paper today. Just to round this out, I think I'm going to add a background element to this sketch to balance out the page. And in addition to that, if we wanted, we could also have some sort of side view sketch that kind of further explains the geometry of the concept. Okay, so context is always important, and one way to do that is just by adding sketches that support the main sketch, like so. And if you want to label it, you can label it side view or something. Okay, so let's take care of speaker section. Now when I have a screen and I'm using regular pen and paper, markers, pencils, all that stuff, it's really hard for me to mimic what's on screen. So what I like to do is throw a big reflection on front, and I'm just gonna do something like this. If you're wondering about the shape of that, I would suggest just pay attention to reflections you see in products around you and see how you can mimic the type of reflection that you're seeing in that product. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. In other words, just observe what's around you, and it'll tell you a lot about how things work. Case in point, chrome. I always tell my students, next time you go to the restroom, a public restroom, pay attention to those chrome pipes, because you're going to learn a lot about how to draw reflections if you just pay attention to those. All right, and we also have the speaker perf. Now for the perf itself, we could go about this a couple ways. You could use gray marker, whatever, all that good stuff. But how about we just pick a material first? So what do you guys think this should be made of? We could do wood, plastic, something shiny, maybe even some sort of fabric. I'm curious what you guys want to see, so let me know what you want to see for this speaker perf, and I'll go ahead and work on the screen. So when I'm working on dark areas, I actually like to, let me put some scrap paper behind this. But when I'm working on dark areas, I don't start with black. I rather prefer to start with like an 80 or 70 or even 90% gray, because then it gives me some room to go a little bit lighter but also darker with those tones. So that's kind of what I'm thinking as we're doing this here. Okay, oops, wrong side. Glad I caught that. Okay, and much like a coloring book, I like to start by just outlining the whole thing. This is just something that I found helpful for myself. If you find it helpful, great. If not, that's okay. But just by outlining it, kind of gives my brain and eyes and hand some sense of the limits of what I'm trying to do. And I also want to pay attention to where I intend to put highlights. Okay, so on the top, for example, we'll clean things up with some white paint or pencil. But if I can't avoid entirely covering it up, I do. Okay, we got 1 vote for fabric. Any opposed? Let me know. So with the marker shading, if you want to be economical with your marker, definitely use marker paper. But as you're shading, if you just skip ahead to the next line, you can shade in your surfaces like this, or you can kind of scrub the marker paper. That's another way to do it. The nice thing about Copic markers, however, is they do blend fairly well. I wish they'd sponsor me. It'd be nice to just have free Copic markers. But I do love their product. It's a good product. For the record, nothing I've ever done on the channel has been paid or endorsed in that way. So whenever I do give a recommendation, it is because I actually like the product. And if you ever do see a product mentioned on my channel, even if I'm compensated for it, I will always give my opinion. That's something I have been approached by people before, and I always tell them, like, look, you know, I'm not gonna show these guys anything I wouldn't use or anything that's not relevant to you. So that's what I try to do. Okay, so there's my screen side, kind of shaded in. I'll fix this up with some pencil and so forth. What color fabric do you want to see on the side? So we're gonna do fabric here, but what color fabric do you guys want to see? Let me know. In the meantime, I'll just work on this secondary sketch. Whenever I have a secondary sketch, I like to just kind of keep it gray in effect, because it allows me to focus more on the essence of the sketch and less on the finish of that sketch. Okay. So while I wait for you guys to hit me up, I'm gonna sketch in just a quick shadow here, and let's see, I'm gonna do something like this. For my shadow. Sky blue. Okay, sky blue it is. Is success the only one in the channel? What's happening? Oh, we got 12 people. Alright, so I'm gonna pick a blue. Let's see. I gotta open up my giant thing of markers here, since we had an exotic color requested. Not really, I just don't do a ton of blue stuff. Let's grab my blue markers here. These things are really nice, by the way. They're called sustainers. They're not airtight, but they do contain my markers fairly well. So if you're interested in getting one of those, I can share that link as well. All right, so we got blue 14, 52, 2, 4, and 6. All right. Crosshatch HomePod-esque white. A little too late, Jason. A little too late. We're ready to pick some blue here. All right. I always try and test my markers as well, because sometimes I'm not always sure what the color is going to look like, and I just want to make sure we have a decent range and things look good. Okay, so I know that my 52 is my lightest, so I'm going to start there. That is a lot of blue. I have a lot of markers because I love drawing with markers. So similar thing, just outline the perimeter. And this way I can quickly shade in. So since this is fabric rather, I am going to lean into the streakiness of the marker a bit. So as I fill this, I'm not too concerned about creating a perfect even blend. And across the front even, same marker. Just doing a series of, I think this marker is getting dry actually. Just doing a series of lines close together that are at an angle to my initial lines. Like so. Draw with your shoulder. It's gonna help your line accuracy and quality. I guess I should update you guys with some news. So I will be going to Mexico this year to teach for a week in May. So that's pretty awesome. I signed up to MC for, I'll just say, a large conference that is coming up as well. So that'll be fun. And also, Oh yeah, and then I have another big engagement in the fall, but I need final confirmation on it before I release that one. So yeah, a lot of good things happening in life for me. So stay tuned for all that good stuff. Okay. So just building up the blue and the texture. I'll use some white to kind of help this pop as well. Pencil if necessary, but there's my quick fabric texture. The thing with sketches and sketching is really what you're trying to do is create, for the most part, an impression of the thing, because it doesn't have to be completely perfect. So in this case, it's not that I'm trying to create an exact type of fabric texture, but rather create the impression of that texture, because it would be a lot of work really to figure out how to make something look exactly accurate in terms of the texture and in its presentation. Sorry, I'm just grabbing another blue here. Let's do blue 6. Just for the shadow side here. Alright. One thing I've been learning lately as well is just leaning into a bit more contrast in my drawings. Because it's easy to kind of want to back off of having contrast or tones or textures that are bold, but I think it actually helps when you do have contrast in the right places in your drawing. So that's something I'd encourage you to do, is just experiment with pushing your contrast a bit more, breaking some rules, and just trying to find what works for your sketch. Shadow core on the bottom here, and I'll blend that with my 2. Just blend that in like so, and we'll get our back foot. Let's see, I'm going to use this gray. Just like that. A little gray, a little bit of white on the top. And then let's get our main shadow in here. I'll actually just use this Sharpie because I can. I don't usually use Sharpies on my sketches that I give to clients, because, and by clients I mean like commissioned sketches that they're gonna hold on to, because Sharpie over time can bleed depending on the paper. So, and I'm not really sure if it's acid free, archival, that kind of thing. So I tend not to use it for more finished drawings. But again, that's maybe that's just my paranoia and weirdness playing out. But just something I try not to do. So in this screen, I'm trying to add just a little bit of blue to this gray. And it's going to make these colors feel more analogous as far as their presentation and tone, and create kind of a more harmonious. It's very subtle, very, very, very subtle, but it's there. Okay, now the background, I'm feeling red. I really am. It might be a disaster, but I'm feeling red, so I'm gonna go for it. And as I do the background, I'm just being careful to not have the marker go all the way up to the sketch. Zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I should have put my other lens on this camera. My apologies. That's the limit of my zoom. Alright. So here's an example of where just outlining the area first kind of helps me, because I'm able to kind of start and stop and have a nice clean beginning and end to this area I'm shading in. Just like that. Okay, I'm trying to remember what the final request of a sketch was. I've had a few requests from people for translucent or transparent things. I think I'd rather do that in a full video for the channel, so if that's something you've been waiting to see, look out for that this week. I know I've done one in the past, but maybe time for an update, right? Okay, so pencil time. So now, just on this edge that rolls, if I apply a little bit of pencil here, I can get a nice shadow core in. Be even better if I had a blue pencil, but I do not. Unfortunately, it ran out of my indigo blue, but that'll do. And mixed media is always fun because you can add a bit of texture to, like in this case, this pen sketch, just by using some pencil over the marker. And in this case, even helping to create and refine that gradient that you'd see in the screen area. Just like so. All right. There you are. So I have these white pens that I like to use as well, and when I use these, it actually has a nice opaque white ink. So if I need to add, things like some stippling in this fabric, I can do that with my pen. I'll post a scan of this so you guys can see more in detail what this looks like. But just adding some stippling here with my pen, and I'll concentrate it to this top corner and kind of fade it on the front, because I don't want to spend forever doing this, but rather, again, just putting enough of something to create the impression of what it is. And I think that's part of just knowing when to stop with your sketches, because it's easy to just want to keep going and going and going when you are sketching. So I totally get that, and sometimes it can be hard to know, hey, when am I done? When is the sketch complete? I should mention as well, if you are interested, if you're part of an organization or school, I do travel and do on-site workshops where I'll sit with you guys and work on those skills with you. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely hit me up and let me know. So cleaning this up just with this white pen again through there. Let me remove the back sheet so you can kind of see what this is looking like now, and we'll use my advanced zoom here to show you guys. So that's what I was doing with the white pen, texture, and all that good stuff. But like I said, I'll post all this so you can see it. Sometimes if you want to desaturate a color, it doesn't always work, but we'll do it this time and see how it goes. But I can actually use my gray marker over the color, and sometimes it'll desaturate but also create a value difference in the marker. So that's something you can try and do on the side, and if that doesn't work, you can always fall back, use a little bit of pencil. I'm trying to create more contrast in these two surfaces, because that's going to help them feel like they are, or this thing is three-dimensional rather. Just like that. On the side here as well. Just like that. Okay, so we got about 15 more minutes, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So for the last sketch, is there anything specific you guys wanted to see, or questions I can answer for you? I think there was one more I need to answer. So I'll check the chat here, but let me know if there's something else specific that you wanted to see. On the screen itself, you know, maybe there's some text, but I can just kind of mimic that or mock it in rather with this white pen, for example. So yeah, maybe that's just some text on the screen that we can have there. Notes are always helpful too, so you know, if this is your voice assist, mic plus speaker, and then if this is a touch display, you know, I could have drawn like a hand, you know, maybe coming in and touching, but I'll just label it. Say it's a touch screen display. Something like that. Convince me to use Procreate over Sketchbook Pro and I'll buy your pen pack. I don't know what to do to convince you, man. I mean, I don't know. I believe that you should use whatever tool works the best for you. So if you feel more comfortable with Sketchbook Pro, by all means, use Sketchbook Pro. I like Procreate because it actually has few drawing assist tools, and I'm more of a natural freehand illustrator, designer, sketcher. So that's what I prefer to use, and why I use it. Plus, they haven't really updated Sketchbook Pro, and I feel like they've kind of abandoned the product. So that's just my 2 cents there as far as Sketchbook Pro goes. But you know, you do you. There's also no animation feature in Sketchbook Pro, to my knowledge. So, okay, I'm just going back through the chat here. Let's see. How do I go through quick sketching to convey ideas while in front of a client? Oh, okay. So, quick sketching. I guess what we could do is pretend that you guys are my client, and then you could tell me about a product or something. But really, a lot of it's what I have been doing. So say for example, I was, sketching some sort of remote with my client, I might sketch this quickly as far as concepts go. I might do something like this, and while we're sketching, I can talk and be like, oh, okay, well, what if the buttons, what if there was a scoop out on the front like that, and you had 3 buttons that were your transport controls. Maybe this is your play pause and back and forward, and then the rest of it could kind of be divided like so. And my client would go, well, I don't really necessarily like the edge-to-edge design of this particular remote. And I go, oh, okay, well, we could also do it like this. And I might pause and talk, but this is probably the fidelity with which I would sketch something. And I could say, well, the buttons could then be in an island like this. If you like the scoops, we could still maintain the scoop. Maybe in the middle here, like so. And we have our little screen display on this remote. And as I'm going, I might add in some stuff here and there. But really, it's less about the precision. Clearly, this sketch is off, like even the bottom here. But I could always fix that, But as I'm sketching, this is kind of how I might do it. Go, yeah, and these could be the number pad here. On the bottom, there's our numbers 1 through 9, and then 0. And then what if, this was our transport control now, something like that. You could even do orthographic views are also a quick way to kind of go through this process if you are using something like this. And just being quick like that, you could add notes, touch screen. But as far as sitting with someone and sketching, yeah, it's almost like quality kind of goes down, but you do want it to be grounded in reality. If you have to add some marker just to clarify things, it might just be, on the sides like this, that kind of thing. And then the rest I could do digitally if I need to. So hopefully that answers your question, where I go, hey, there's this other shape. What if it's a pill shape? But literally, this is the quality, because you are sitting with someone and sketching. And you might even just shade things in with your pencil, or sorry, not your pencil, your pen, like so. But yeah, this is how I sit with a client and sketch a lot of the time. If I'm taking more time than that, I'm probably not doing my job the right way. At least that's the way I see it. So that's, I should just label this example of client sketch. So I'll upload this. You guys can check it out, but that's kind of how I do it. All right. So just a few minutes left. What do you guys want to see? What are you in the mood for? What questions do you have? It could be about career, life, drawing, whatever. If you have nothing, I might just draw. A car. Everyone likes cars, right? So while I wait, we'll just sketch one of these. I like to start with wheels. Keep it loose. Nice and loose pen. Hope you're having a good Friday. And if you missed my videos this week, be sure to check those out. Did one on levels of sketching. I guess I should have talked about that a little bit today. But I feel like in some ways, being online and social media, it's kind of eliminated a lot of distinction between sketch and render, and I worry about students in particular kind of happening on things that I've done or other people have done, not really understanding the why behind it. So there's that video, and that's kind of why I did that one. We did a landscape this week as well, a toaster of all things, and I'm trying to remember what the other one was. I think it was a time lapse actually. But yeah. So quick car. Let's see. Good evening. Oh, good evening. Hello. I hate that looking other portfolios. Process sketching is practically right. Yeah, that's the whole deal. It was like you look at a portfolio and you're just like, okay, I get that you're good at sketching, but is this really design? So I wanted to at least provide a little bit of clarification in the process so that people could understand a bit of, you know, why we do what we do or how we do what we do and what the purpose of each sketch is, frankly. So that was the reason. Do I practice new methods of drawing or philosophies of design? I try to, yeah. You know, lately it's kind of been trying to do some nature drawing, for example. But yeah, I do try to try new things when I can. You don't want to find yourself in a position where, you know, you only do one thing and that's it. So I try to always be learning, always trying something different, and just seeing how it works out. So, but cars are fun. I like doing them. I'm not a car designer per se. I could have been. I just opted not to at the time. So I found that I enjoyed drawing cars more than cars themselves, if that makes sense. And maybe it doesn't make sense, but that was my beef. I couldn't see myself doing it day in, day out, so just opted not to. I'm going with a red for this one, so just starting with a light pink here, and I'll probably make some of this stuff in here gray, the wheels for sure, shadow, all of that. Just keeping it real quick, real loose. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a good one. Hope you're staying healthy. I'm like nervous to travel. How are things where you guys are? Is everyone freaking out about coronavirus? What's happening? I just keep thinking, well, at least I work from home, so there's that. There's nothing I can do about it if it, you know, if it comes here. It's like literally nothing I can do. But I'm just wondering how everyone's doing with this thing out in the wild. So yeah, how are you guys? People that draw famous designs for Instagram and pass it off as design really bug me. Yeah, I get that. It's practice, but at some point, yeah, you know, do your own stuff. I don't personally put a lot of my own stuff on Instagram. Maybe I should more, but historically speaking, I haven't. But yeah, if you're gonna draw something, at least maybe draw something new or novel, something different. I guess the exception for me would be when I do get commissions from people. So that just means someone wants to pay me to draw a certain thing. Then yeah, I'll draw that certain thing and I'll post it up for sure. Let's see, 24, missing my 27. Oh no, here it is. Waiting for pandemic-related designs, right? It's gonna happen. Probably students will do it. I'm sure you'll see that soon. A lot of portfolios will have pandemic-related things, no doubt. So, once again, if you love using markers, definitely invest in marker paper. It makes such a big difference, guys. If you've been sketching on regular paper and then you get marker paper, you'll see what I mean, but it makes a big difference. In Japan, things are really effed up because of Corona. Oh wow, is that where you are in Japan? If so, that's cool. I've always wanted to live in Japan. One day, I hope. One day I will. And if you're wondering why, I don't know. I like the culture, at least at a distance. I've just always been a little bit curious about it, so. I feel like sketching a car with markers is like one of the hardest things, seriously, because you kind of have to know enough about how reflections work, but also do it in a way that's kind of sketchy and loose. It's really hard. And getting those blends in as well. I'll post the final sketch. Again, I always say that because on camera sometimes things just don't look good. So you might be wondering why I'm doing this red. I just want a red tone to the whole thing, so when I apply the gray over it, it should pick up. Yeah, there we go. So it should pick up a little of that red in the color, but it also gives me a chance to kind of fade to red a little bit in some of these areas. So just like that. Get the wheels in, rocker panel. Just like that. Oh, I should mention as well, another way to support the stream. If you're ever interested in a sketch that I've done on the stream, you can always hit me up, and I'd be more than happy to talk about either getting you a print or the original. So if that's something you're ever interested in, let me know, and I can make that work. Would you say that sketching quick with just fine tip felt markers is still worth it on marker paper? Yeah, I mean, if you get cheap marker paper or marker paper that, so a lot of I have a ton of marker paper, and a lot of it I got as people were throwing it out. So you can talk to former students, go to a college, see if they're getting rid of stuff. Like even markers, I've gotten a lot of free markers over the years, so that's another way to do it. But yeah, I would say cheap marker paper is definitely better than printer paper, even for sketching. Sometimes I'll even sketch with pencil on marker paper because it just has a nice texture to it, and I want to be able to kind of have that texture in my final sketch or drawing. So maybe not the most economical choice, but I do enjoy drawing on marker paper for sure. So just finishing this up with a C10 for contrast here, keeping it sketchy, keeping it loose on a Friday. Thank you, and special shout out to my Patreons as well, those who are supporting me on Patreon. If you did sign up and you haven't gotten your sticker, let me know. But if you do go there and sign up, you do get a free sticker. Well, not free, but I'll hook you up with a sticker, and stay tuned for some other goodies coming this week. But that is for my Patreons, so thank you guys, for your support. Super awesome and much appreciated. Let's see. Just gonna add a couple little things here to my sketch. Oh yeah. I really like this music. I found this Spotify thing that is royalty free for streaming. It's pretty awesome. So I've been enjoying that. So like I mentioned, don't be afraid to push your contrast in your sketches. Here I've got a nice deeper red that I'm using. Just to pump these reflections. Just like that. And I'm going to tone down a little bit my highlight here, so just blend that in. Blend that in as well. Man, I love markers. Like seriously, I love markers. So much fun. And if you've never tried them out, definitely give it a try. See what you think. And my white pen here just for a couple things, maybe some tire treads. A few little highlight spots here and there. And we'll call it good. Alright guys, well, thanks for hanging out with me today. As always, super fun. Appreciate the support. Be sure to check out the videos, hit that subscribe button, turn on alerts if you haven't. I guess if you're here, you probably have alerts on. But I can't for the life of me figure it out. I have 100,000 people subscribed, and each video does not get those views. So, no clue why, but you're here, and I appreciate it, so thank you. It means a lot. It means a lot that you can share in my passion and be here and be a part of all this. Super fun. Okay, so here's what we did today. We did our quick car sketch. We talked about sketching with a client, what that kind of looks like. Let me zoom out. There we go. What that kind of looks like. Did our speaker sketch and warmed up with the landscape. So again, hopefully you guys had a good time watching all this. Thank you so much for being a part of the stream. Oh, and we talked about how to discover problems as a designer. So lots of good stuff. If you missed all that, it'll be uploaded and archived as a part of the stream archive. So check that out. Well, thanks guys. Much appreciated as always. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time here Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific on Sketch-A-Day. Have a great weekend.